Good evening and hello, everybody. Welcome back. And once again, I'm joined by the lovely Anne-Marie Waters. Welcome.
Hi, Jay. I like the lovely part. Charmer. Charmer that you are.
Oh, well, you are lovely.
I shall tell hope, not hate.
And no one cares what they think.
They got me all wrong. So
No
how are
one
you?
cares. I'm very well. It's been a crazy week. Let me just move this microphone a little bit closer so I sound better. But yeah, just been working, sorting stuff out, and dealing with Annie.
And that's a lot of work. Dealing with Annie, it's just on its own. Even if you didn't have a job, dealing with
It is
Annie
a full-time job.
keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
So still enjoying sunny Cyprus.
Of course, it's still 32 degrees, even though we're midway through September, and I'm sure you're freezing your tits off by
Actually,
now.
not today. It has been raining for a considerable time, but today the rain has taken a break and we've got a little bit of sunshine again. But the rain will be back tomorrow. Not to worry.
It's Britain, of course. The rain's going to be back tomorrow.
Yeah. So how's lockdown over there? How's coronavirus over there?
Well, we've seen someone at my door. Can you entertain everyone while I go check? Be right back.
I don't know about entertain. God almighty. Okay. Oh, sorry if no one's entertained by that, but I'm actually making some notes that I need to make.
Okay, that is like the weirdest ever. It's the Labour office. See, this is you're not in Britain, right? So the government in Britain would never come out after 5 p.m. It's 7 o'clock at night, and I've just had the Labour the Minister of Finance, and the Labour office, and this woman from the Labour Focus survey, and apparently they cover 4,000 houses each quarter in Cyprus in all districts, and basically ask you a bunch of questions.
What are they trying to find out?
I'm guessing, how many people, like survey stuff, like how many people live in your house, all that kind of stuff. I was just like, because it was my door that rang, and I was like, hang on, how can someone be at my door? So someone else must have let her in the building, and then obviously she's going door to door.
I see.
Anyway.
What?
The joys of living in Cyprus, hey? So yeah, what's been going on, Anne-Marie, before we got interrupted? What's new?
Gosh. What's new? Well, we have new rules come in today in the UK. Just as we were getting the party back on track. I was at a branch meeting in Leeds last night, which was lovely. And we had a branch meeting recently in Sunderland. So the branch meetings have started and we're back together again. And now we have this new rule come in today where you can't meet more than 6 people. And it's
I've seen that.
Okay, and I was reading out some of the government's guidelines on one of my live streams, and it's a comedy. It's a comedy. They talk about, first of all, they've introduced the notion of a support bubble, whatever that is. I don't know what a support bubble is, but the government is talking in terms of support bubbles. So you can gather with so many people from outside your family, but only if they're in your support bubble. And the rules were so ridiculous that it was, you're not allowed to mix with your neighbours, but you are allowed to go down to the pub. And if you see your neighbours down the pub, you're not allowed to interact with them. This is the sort of rule. Yeah, I mean, we were told to go out to dinner, so to support restaurants, but you're not allowed to go with your neighbours. And you want to ask, well, can I say hello to my neighbours when I see them at the pub? I mean, it's just ridiculous. And now we have a situation where we have masks in England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, but not in Wales. You can have 6 people in England, but I think it's 15 people in Northern Ireland and 30 people in Wales. So you've got to be careful whether, if you live on the English-Welsh border, you've got to be very careful about when to put on the mask and when to take it off, and when you can sit with 5 people or you can sit with 14 other people. It's a joke. So a lot of people are starting to wonder if we're not looking at another lockdown, if there is another lockdown in the pipeline. If there is, we will be stuck again as people, but as a party as well. And I really want to get the party back out and running. So everyone's confused. Nobody knows quite what the rules are, what's going on, when it's going to end. There's no end point. Everything is looking really permanent. The supermarkets, for example, the pubs, restaurants, they've all got this very permanent looking barriers, glass barriers between tables and and it's not, doesn't look temporary to me. It looks like it's here for the long haul. I was saying to someone else last night as well, even the soap operas like Coronation Street and what have you, they have incorporated the masks and the social distancing into the soap storylines. So it's now part of the soap. So these things are not going away anytime soon. So that's really what's going on. It's so frustrating. And yeah, we're a bit stuck.
So our lockdown has been pretty much over for months. The only thing now is we have to follow the hygiene rules. So basically, if you go into a shop or anywhere public, you need to wear a mask and sanitize your hands and that. And the government have said this is long term. They've said from day dot, like, we're not talking a few months. We're talking at least until next year, mid next year at the earliest, before they start relaxing the wearing a mask in places. When it comes to pubs and restaurants, yeah, you can go out. I think the biggest table you're allowed is 20 people. So you could have your table with your neighbors and so on and so on. Obviously, you don't have to wear a mask when you're in a restaurant and having dinner or in a pub. However, when it comes to the pubs and the nightclubs, so you can go see live music. Maybe you come to Cyprus, Anne-Marie, and we go see some live music, but no dancing, Anne-Marie. So no shaking your booty or anything like that. I think
I'll manage to not shake my booty. Yeah, I mean, we have a no singing rule. You can have a wedding, for example, but you're not allowed to sing at the wedding. You can only have a certain number. Yeah, no singing. Yeah.
So in Cyprus we can sing, but no dancing. Yeah, but you can't sing. So can you dance? Are you allowed to dance?
No singing. I don't know. They haven't commented on that. Maybe we ought to find out.
I know.
Dance probably within 2 meters of each other. We can dance. Yeah, it's a joke, and the number of people who now think that it's just one great big scam is growing and growing and growing. And you know what? Part of me doesn't blame people for thinking that, because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And we've destroyed the Western world's economy over this.
I think, well, we've destroyed the whole world's economy for this.
Yeah,
I think it doesn't help when we've got the likes of the British. Oh my God! Now I've got a beeping noise going on. Anyway, basically, it doesn't help when you've got like the British government, who are basically 1 minute saying one thing, then the next thing saying another thing, and so on and so on. So it kind of makes sense why people are starting to think it's a hoax. I'm going to take care of that beeping.
Okay.
Oh my God, today it's been terrible. First it's the door, then it's my oven. What next?
Is that your? Is
It'll
it
be
dinner ready?
no, it was because I cooked something earlier. I cooked some pita bread to have some hummus, and for some reason with this dumb oven, I don't know. It just has this beeping thing that goes off after a while. I haven't worked out how to use it properly. I know how to turn it on and get the temperature I want, but when it comes to the timer and everything, no clue. No clue yet.
I have lived in my house now since January, and I still don't know how the heating works. Just no idea at all. I literally, when I want the heating to come on, I turn on the boiler, the actual boiler, the big boiler machine. I turn that on, and when I want the heating off, I turn that off. The machine, little thing on my wall, which I have, I'm sorry, I defy anyone to figure out what the hell that's supposed to be all about. So yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Well, luckily here in Cyprus, I don't have to worry too much about central heating.
No.
And also our hot water is done via the tank on the roof, which is solar powered, which does it all. All you do is turn a tap on and then you've got hot water. That's it. All year round. Yeah. We have tanks on our roof that are solar panels, and yeah.
And is it hot? The water?
Oh yeah. It's scalding hot. It comes out, especially during the height of summer,
Oh, there you go. If we all had that weather, we could save our electricity bills, but we don't.
No, this is true.
I'm about to go into a Hartlepool winter, not knowing how my heating works.
You might want to get that sorted. We'll have to make a call to action to find a member to sort your heating out.
There's probably a little guidebook in there somewhere, but I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. So anything big planned for the rest of this year? We haven't got much left. I can't believe it's already midway through September.
I know. I can't believe it either. And what a year. What a year. What have we got planned? Well, again, it all depends on whether or not we're locked down. But one thing we are doing, and doing it nice and quickly, and doing it next week, actually, is our State of the Nation 2020 documentary. Now, we actually floated this at the end of 2019, intending to look at where we are as a nation in 2020. Then, of course, lockdown happened and we weren't able to do the filming.
Right.
So that was put off, and now we're going to go film it. But, of course, the whole thing has to be redevised and refilmed because look what's happened. You can't make a State of the Nation in 2020 video without saying the whole nation changed in 2020. We have to scrap all of that and go back to the drawing board, which we've done. So it's ready to be filmed, but we've got to get the filming done now before they lock us down again and we're not able to do anything. So that's what we're working on at the moment. That's where I'll be all next week. We've also got our Save Our Heritage campaign going on, where the Labour Party is still committed to reviewing monuments, memorials, and street names for quote unquote racists. And it will basically be an erasure of Britain's history, and we know that's what they intend to do. So we're doing trying to get people to understand what this is, that Labour are committed to doing it, and we're getting our members out leafleting around their local memorial, their local statue, whatever it may be, and filming it. So we're got that going on at the moment as well. Illegal immigration coming into Dover. We're doing a lot of campaigning on that and getting a lot of public support. I think people are flummoxed by it. I mean, here we are told you can't gather in groups of more than 6, but all and sundry can come in on the beaches of Devon. There's no social distancing required of. So nobody quite understands what's going on. It's completely contradictory, completely hypocritical, completely confusing. The whole country is confusing, and people are bewildered and don't know whether they're coming or going. And that's not a good situation for a country to be in. It's not a strength. It's not a strong people. It's indeed a very weak people, and quite worrying. They seem to be able to do what they like to us. That's what worries me. I mean, getting us into masks when it was over. we weren't told to put on masks until it had essentially the worst was over. What are they looking for? Compliance? I don't know. It's all, a lot of people are very suspicious, and I don't blame them.
I just think the way the British government handled it has been completely all over the place. Unlike here in Cyprus, they pretty much did all the wearing of masks and everything, sanitizing and all of that from day one of it all. They did relax the masks after the lockdown, because we were obviously in lockdown for like 2 months, no going out, texting the government for permission and so on. They relaxed it for a short period, but then they did turn around and went, actually, it's a bad idea. We're going to go back to having masks on. Other than that, it's been the same all the way. And the government have been very consistent. The health minister's been consistent. Obviously, I'm talking about here in Cyprus, but yeah. It's not been at all confusing at all when it comes to what we have to do here in Cyprus and what we can do, what we can't do. I mean, even our gatherings, we can have up to a gathering of 50 people, and you can't even have 6 now.
6 we have, yeah. 6.
And there's only like 1.2 million people in the whole island, and yet Britain is an island of what, 66 million people?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, none of it makes any sense at all. And I have a question as well, is what if we get 6 people together, and then we get another group of 6 people together and another group of 6 people together, and they all stand 2 meters from each other? Can we do it like that? The thing is, none of it makes any sense. And the fact that to me, in many respects, there's too much government in this country. There really is. You've got the Scottish government doing one thing, the Welsh government doing another thing, the UK government doing another thing, the Northern Irish government doing another thing. They don't agree with each other. They've all got different policies for this. And then you have local governments sticking their oar in as well and wanting local lockdowns. And we have specific areas that are still under lockdown. This is part of the confusion. There's too much government, too many people, too many chiefs telling people what to do in different areas, and they're all different, and there's no uniformity, there's no agreement between them. And I think part of that is the reason. Cyprus is nice and small. You've got one government telling you what to do, and it's nice and clear. Whereas here, we have, as I said, several million more people, but also way too much government. And at least if they're going to have rules, they could at least sit down together and agree them and then apply them across the UK. But that doesn't happen. And so nobody quite knows what they're doing or why. I mean, why is it okay to not wear a mask in Wales? Is it, is it particular? Is the virus different in Wales? Why? And what are the statistics? Are the masks working? Is it different in Wales than it is in England? In fact, England has compulsory masks, and the rates seem to be a lot worse than they are in Wales. So, where is the statistical evidential backup for the continuation of these policies? There isn't any.
It just seems like they're just making decisions based on how they feel at the time.
Yes, it really is. It really is. And someone is sitting at a table somewhere saying, let's do this. And everyone's saying, yeah, all right, then let's do that. And then this rule is sent out to tens of millions of people who are expected to follow it when it actually, someone just came up with it off the top of their heads. That's what it feels like and what it looks like. Yeah, so there's really not much. Our lives are still dominated by this, and what we will be able to do in the next few months is dominated by this. I'd love to just get on a plane and go somewhere for a weekend. That I really want to do. Get my hair
there's 1 or 2 options available to you.
Well, the thing is, I can't afford to lose the money for a flight. So I can't afford for it to be cancelled. I also can't afford for it to have to come back and socially alienate myself for 14 days, which people are being told to do coming back from Spain. And a lot of people had gone to Spain not knowing that they were going to have to isolate when they got back for 14 days.
Oh, speaking of that, sorry, just that was absolutely crazy. So the British government say, oh yeah, go to France, go to Spain, no problem. And what kind of baffled me about what they did, they turned around and went, oh, we're putting Spain on the quarantine list. Now, there's people already out in Spain. So what they said was, oh, as of Friday, shall we say? I can't remember the exact day or what it was, but let's say they announced it on the Tuesday and then they said, oh, on the Friday, you're going to have to go on a quarantine list. That's stupid, because then you've rushed everybody to come home, which we saw. We saw people getting on flights, which is putting more people in a closer space, which is going to help people who didn't have it possibly catch it. What I would have done if I was in government is just turned around and said, oh, we're putting Spain on the quarantine list effective immediately. So everyone in Spain would have been like, oh, well, there's no point me rushing home now and cutting my holiday short because I'm still going to have to quarantine anyway. And then instead, we ended up with thousands of people rushing home just so they could avoid the quarantine, basically. And so they could go back to work when they are meant to go back to work.
And plus, it doesn't make any sense from a disease control point of view. If you want to, like you say, if this is urgent and we need to take such a drastic step, then why are we able to wait to take that drastic step? Surely, if it's that urgent and that that important, you should be doing it now. It is like the face masks thing here in England as well. It was from, I think it was 3 weeks' time or 2 weeks' time or something ridiculous from this date. And it was a good chunk of time ahead. You'll have to wear compulsory masks. And you're thinking, well, if it was that important, we would have to wear them now. Why?
Exactly.
What's going to happen in the 2 weeks? And if it was really important, then the UK government should be telling the Welsh government that masks must be put on.
Exactly. So when they brought the face mask mandatory back in Cyprus, they said as of 6 p.m. tomorrow, 6 a.m. tomorrow, new rules, face mask on whenever you go inside. And if you get caught without a mask, it's a €300 fine. And that happened. They announced it at like, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the Thursday. And they said as of 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. There was no faffing about. It's happening. That's it. No week, no nothing. Literally the next morning.
And how are people with the masks? Are people wearing them? I mean, I'd say about 50% of people here are wearing them. So the whole thing is a joke anyway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say a good 80 to 90% of people are actually wearing them. Obviously, there's the, not wearing it above the nose and things like that. That those numbers are different, but I would say a good 90% of people are wearing it because they don't want to get fined. I mean, I don't want to pay €300. I mean, I went out the other night to the bakery. It was like midnight, and I was like, oh, I need something to eat. So I go down the bakery. I get to the bakery, and I'm like, fuck, I forgot my mask. And I'm stood there. I'm going, should I risk it? I could go in there because people go in all the time. I'm like, I could risk it. Yeah, I could risk it. And then I'm like, no, don't do it because you don't have €300, so you can't afford €300. So just go home. And literally, I turned around. I started walking. What happens? Cop car pulls up outside the bakery. 2 coppers put their mask on and go in the bakery. And I'm like, I just saved myself £300.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the across the country, but where I live, so the Asda close to me, for example, if I go in there, I would say maybe 50, maybe 60% tops are wearing it. So a hugely high percentage of people not wearing it. I forget too, I have to say, it's not something that I've adapted to easily. I forget all the time. And for the most part, I just go into the shop or wherever without anything, and nobody says anything to me. Get the occasional dirty look, but nobody says anything. But it is because I forget. And I found myself on the tube in London last week or the week before, and again had completely forgotten it. First time on the tube since this happened. Completely forgotten about the mask thing altogether, and the looks I was getting. And it doesn't feel good. I mean, I know people are, you've got to rebel and and I get that. I do. You don't want to meekly accept ludicrous requirements from the state. But it doesn't feel good because you know that, A, you're at risk of getting a fine of some sort. And nobody wants that. But also, you know that people are looking at you in that sort of, who does she think she is, that the rules don't apply to her kind of way. And the rest of us have to do it. Why isn't she doing it? And it's not a nice feeling. And this is part of what it's doing, actually, is stirring up trouble between people. Making people hostile with each other and stirring up trouble between people. So I haven't been wearing one, but it doesn't feel I don't always feel good about it. And I don't particularly want a fine, but what I tend to do actually is avoid going to places where you have to wear one. I do go to the supermarket, obviously, because I have to eat. And I have this thing that I put on my neck. It's like a little pull-up thing. And I put it around my neck, but I don't pull it up. And the reason I put it around my neck is just in case there's somebody who can, and then I'll really quickly just do it. That's pretty much my plan. Yeah. Which is a little bit sneaky, but there you go. It's my way of rebelling without rebelling. But I haven't been wearing one other than this, and I've not been required to pull it up either. I just leave it around my neck and go about my business. Yeah. So I think. Oh, mind you, somebody, and I want to say, just in case she sees it, I want to thank Stephanie down in Cornwall for sending me a mask exempt T-shirt, which is fabulous. So I'll wear that. I'll wear that today. But we do also have a rule here. And I don't know about Cyprus, but we do have a rule here that you're not obliged to wear one if you have a good reason not to. And the good reasons can include, say, asthma or severe anxiety or heart condition, things like that. And we're not supposed to ask a person who is exempt about it. So you can pretty much, I think, and supermarkets have already said, we're not going to police this. If people come in not wearing one, our staff are not paid enough to police this, and I agree entirely with them on that. It's not up to supermarket staff to police these things. So really, there's no structure to it. It's arbitrary, nonsensical in so many respects, and the public has largely lost respect or regard for this policy and for this, for the government response to this. So that's where we are. So you're muted at the moment, Jay.
Damn it! How did I manage that? What an idiot! So anyway, I got my mask. Your mask. I keep it with me all the time, because like everywhere you go. And the thing is, here in Cyprus, the shops and stuff do police it, because the government turned around and said, "Oh, it's 300 euros for me not wearing a mask, and you as the shop owner are going to get fined 500 euros for having someone in your premises that's not wearing a mask."
Right, I see.
And also then the staff member will get fined if they don't wear the mask properly. So if it's not above their nose, then they get fined as well. And then the business gets fined 1,000 euros for not training staff properly on how to wear their masks.
Blimey, that's strict. That's strict. It's going to be a lot easier with a small country. To do things like
give you an example is the police and everything are able to police it a lot more easier because we are so small. They're just given a shit ton of overtime and said, "Yep, off you go make sure everything is." And a friend of mine who runs a pub and restaurant downtown, in the last 6 months, he's had the health inspector in a dozen times, the police in a dozen times, even the license authority, not to check on your license, but more to make sure you're following the new guidelines, because then they'll be like, "Oh, you're not following the guidelines, here's fine, and maybe we review your license." Right. So they've got everyone out. But it's working, and everyone's followed the rules perfectly fine. And that's kind of the way with Cyprus is no one will do anything unless there's a fine involved. If the government say you got to do something, they have to put a fine in, or no one will do it.
Oh, governing people.
Mm-hmm.
It's the carrot and stick. I think the carrot tends to work rather better than the stick, but anyway, or the other way around. The stick works better than the carrot.
Yeah.
I don't particularly want to be fined, and nobody wants to get into a row every time they go out for a loaf of bread. Look at the thing. You really. It could potentially end up an argument with the police. I mean, who wants to get into an argument with the police every time they go out to buy something? So it is very difficult, and it does push us in directions we don't want to go. But yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. At least it's a mess here.
Well, anyway, unfortunately, I do have to cut this one a bit short. I know it has been short today, but I will be having you back on very soon. Just quickly look at my diary. How's the end of the month looking for you? Like the 28th or 29th?
We can do the 29th. 29th is a Thursday, isn't it?
Tuesday.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay, that's cool. Oh wait, I'll be down south. If we can do it in the evening, I think I'm driving back up from south on Tuesday morning.
Okay. Well, if not, we can do the 2nd of October. It's the Friday.
Okay, let's do that. Because I never really do anything on a Friday, so that's
perfect.
Yeah. Should we do 5 p.m.?
5 p.m. on the 2nd of October.
Okay.
Back here with Anne-Marie Waters, everyone. You've heard it here live.
All right, thanks very much, Jay. Lovely to talk to you as always.
You too, as always. I know you're busy as well. But anyway, for everyone watching, thank you very much for stopping by and sharing this time with me and Anne-Marie. And you will see both of us very soon. So until next time, bye.